4. Your AccuWeather forecast, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
From local sports to national newsmakers, this is a show everybody is talking about. Live from the Granite State, it's Mike and the Hoss on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
Good morning and welcome to the Mike and the Hoss Show, powered by the Yum Shop on the Pulse of New Hampshire. I'm Mike Denane alongside Charlie Hossack. We are Mike and the Hoss. Gentlemen, J-Dog back in studio. Did you enjoy probably the greatest individual athletic performance in the history of sports last night?
Well,
I don't think that's hyperbole, by the way. I think that's what Ohtani did last night was at least the greatest baseball performance, playoff performance. Dog, you're shaking your head. 3 tape measure home runs, 2 hit ball through 6 innings, complete domination. Name me another one. Name me a team sport where the individual did more for the team to win than what Ohtani did last night. Just name me one. I'm listening.
Wayne Gretzky.
If Gretzky was playing goalie when he scored 4 goals in the game, then that would be the same. There is no individual team in a team sport. Nobody has done. Babe Ruth never did what Ohtani did last night. Nobody has done that. He hit 3 home runs that the ball is still going upwards of 450 feet, all 3 of them. He was basically unhittable. He gave up a ground rule double and another ground ball, and he walked a couple guys. He struck out 10. He was the show. He showed that he's worth every bit. I don't think he's worth $700 million, but he showed that he's definitely worth being the highest paid player in baseball. You can't go back to its baseball, hockey, basketball, and find a more dominant playoff performance that covered both sides of the ball, defense and offense, than what you saw last night. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm just disappointed that I didn't get a chance to see it in real time because I was at a high school football game. But yeah, I don't. It's hard to disagree with that, Mike. Just seeing all the highlights this morning, reading everything that happened, unbelievable. And I think I go back to thinking about Shohei, and I just wish that he didn't have the scar of the gambling accusations. That's the one thing against him that, you have. If you saw this morning, a lot of the pundits they were bringing that up because, they're like, well, just because. And if you just push that aside, the gambling allegations and all that stuff and how he handled that, which I thought he handled it poorly. It was it was the greatest individual performance postseason in Major League Baseball history.
Well, I think Major League Baseball is probably patting themselves on the back that they were able to sweep that thing under the rug after what they saw last night, because he is quickly, arguably, becoming the greatest baseball player in the history of the game. And he puts in 5 or 6 more years, 55 home runs this year. But it's, offensively, he's obviously a top 3 player in the league, if not a top 1 player in the league. But then when it comes to the pitching, you'd stack the pitching on top of it. There's just no comparable. There's no comparison. You have to go back to Babe Ruth to find something that is comparable. And then if you try and cross sports, you can't do it. In football, name a player that played both offense and defense that wasn't, Deion Sanders, I guess a little bit, Otto Graham. You have to go back to those days to find somebody that played at a dominant level, both on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. We talk about Jordan's epic playoff performances. He wasn't guarding the rim. It wasn't happening. He scored 35, but he wasn't doing that. Will Chamberlain, sure, he was, good, but he still wasn't preventing everybody on the team from scoring. It's not that kind of, you just can't do it. You brought up Gretzky. Sure, there's been great offensive performances in hockey, but they weren't also playing goalie. Yeah. There's no comparison to what you saw last night. It was that dominant. And, if you get a chance to watch it, that's a game you should do on playback, Dog, last night's game.
By request.
Not
voluntarily.
I guess.
By the way, as you mentioned, Mike, it was 1,342 feet combined, which means one of those is about to land in Rancho Cucamonga any minute now.
None of them were questionable. They were out in every single Major League Baseball park by 30, 40 feet at least. Like I said, they were tape measure. So anyway, Charlie, you have a PSA you want to do before we get started?
I do. I just want to remind everyone that October is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I want you guys to please consider supporting the Lakes Region Mental Health Center art auction. You can visit the Mike and our social media, Mike and the Hoss social media. We're on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Of course, we're on X. And thank you to J Dog and, of course, Benny Media. And Dog had posted on the Pulse of NH website and Instagram as well. So thank you. Give a shout out to the Lakes Region Mental Health Center and their art auction to support their programs.
All right. Mike and the Hoss is powered by the Yum Shop, located in the heart of downtown Wolfboro. It can be found on the Pulse of New Hampshire radio stations and all over the world on the Pulse of New Hampshire app. You can always catch up and listen to our previous shows on the Pulse Podcast Network, Spreaker, Audible, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. The Yum Shop has over 100 varieties of fresh baked goods, including 6 different types of bread and a full-service ice cream bar, and, of course, their most famous item, the gingerbread cookie. Make sure to visit the Yum Shop the next time you're in Wolfboro or online at yumyumshop.com. And while you're there, enter the discount code of Mike and the Hoss to receive 20% off a Gingy Box. You can join our conversation, 603-228-2080. That is 603-228-2080. And thank you to the Heinz Group of Philadelphia and London for sponsoring our live stream on Facebook and YouTube. Also, don't forget to catch up on our social media, Charlie.
Yep, we are on X, we are on TikTok, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and of course, we're on Instagram. And you can get all of this great stuff right at the Pulse of NH's website.
Do you want to start this with? You said you're not going to get mad at me. We're not going to argue about this.
Yeah, Mike, it's fine. And if we do argue, that's also fine. But I don't think the topic that we're going to discuss, I'm going to argue with you. So yes, let's do your opening take.
Brought to you by the Back Bay Boathouse,
where you can enjoy delicious food and drinks right next to the lake. Don't forget to order the $5 Mike and the Hoss penalty box during happy hour, Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. And another cool thing about the Back Bay Boathouse, they are sponsoring our trivia later in the show. So the Back Bay Boathouse, thank you so much. And it's a great weekend. You can sit on the deck and enjoy a drink or a meal. It's still going to be a beautiful weekend. It's going to be in the mid to high 60s today, Mike.
They're not only sponsoring our trivia, they submitted the trivia question.
Yes, they did.
So it's all about the Back Bay Boathouse today.
Yeah.
All right. I was bothered. Obviously, I'm doing it as an opening take. That our president stuck his nose into the World Cup and threatens to remove the games from, well, in his eyes, remove the games from Boston. Because he said that Boston's an unsafe place, the mayor's not doing a good job, et cetera, et cetera. We've heard the song and dance before from him. First of all, the games are being played at Foxborough. They're not being played in Boston. And it's just, again, and I had said in our notes, I said he is using the World Cup as a political pawn and to try to make his point about Democratic leaders and what he thinks about the Democratic leaders, not just in Boston, but around the country. And is this a sign of things to come? I know you have a different take on this, Charlie, but we've seen this with him wanting to rename the Washington Commanders back to the Redskins. Same thing with the Cleveland Guardians, that he just keeps getting involved in these hot topic, red button issues to try to churn and it's usually in a blue area, blue state, blue area, blue city. So I'm just tired of it, and I think it's really a waste of time. Your thoughts?
Yeah. So my thoughts. There is one thing before I jump into this that I want President Trump to get involved in. I want him to get rid of daylight savings time, because that's coming up, and he has stuck his nose in that. So if you're going to stick your nose in something, get rid of daylight savings time for us. But as far as the World Cup is concerned, Mike, I guess you're correct. This is just all this is political posturing. This is what Trump does. President Trump does this. He doesn't like Michelle Wu, the mayor of Boston. He doesn't like the governor of Massachusetts, Maura Healey. He can't stand Senator Elizabeth Warren. neither can I in that case. But it's just his political posturing. This is what he does. He sticks his nose in things. He makes comments. He gets people fired up. I mean, you're not totally fired up, but he's obviously got you fired up enough. He got you fired up enough that you wanted to make this an opening take. And if you look at it for what it is, face value, it's just his way of saying, you know what? I don't like you, Mayor Wu. I don't like you, Governor Healy. He knows, I mean, I would think he knows that the games are played in Foxborough. The problem is, if you look at the World Cup site, right, it doesn't say the games are in Foxborough. The games, it's who's the host city? The host city's Boston. So he's using that as,
He probably doesn't even know. He probably hasn't looked into it enough to even know that the games are being played in Foxborough. Doesn't even understand what Foxborough is. He probably thinks that Foxborough is like Brookline or something like that.
I mean, let's look at this for a minute. He is powerless to go ahead and try to change these games. I mean, it's FIFA. FIFA runs this. They have contracts with these cities. I mean, there's nothing that a president of the United States can do to move a soccer match from an area. It's logistically.
Is this helpful though, Charlie? Is it helpful? Is it helpful?
It's. I mean, it might be helpful from his perspective that he's riling up the people that might be supporters of Mayor Wu. That he's poking and prodding at what he.
So not for the overall good of the country. Not for the overall good of the country. This is so. Just be clear about that. This is not.
It's not.
Oh, okay.
It's not for the good of the country. He's poking and prodding at his political opponents and getting them riled up. That's what he does. That, of course, it's not correct. Of course, you shouldn't be doing that as the president of the United States. But that's who he is. And I guess the last thing that I want to say about this is that and we know this, and this is silly for me to say, but I'll say it. If you don't like something politically, your protest is not your No King's Day. We're not protesting against King Charles today. It's ridiculous. Your protest is at the ballot box. Shut your mouths and go and vote. And that's the real change. Instead of standing on a street corner, instead of getting fired up because President Trump wants to move FIFA, all right, he can't do it. Just go ahead and cast a vote for change. That's what we have. That's the power of the United States of America. And if you don't like something, fix it at the ballot box.
Then why is he changing the rules for voting? If it's that simple that we can go vote, why does he change the rules for voting? Because that's exactly what he's doing.
I don't know what you're talking about as far as that's concerned.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I don't think the rules are changed for voting. I am going to, you know what, on election day, Mike, we can go together. We can drive together. Mike and the Haas can hit the ballot box together, and we can drive in, and we're going to have no issues, Mike, walking up there and voting. We're not going to be turned away. We're not going to be told we can't vote. Okay, this is not Russia or Ukraine or someplace else where you have voting issues. I'm not.
You're saying right now that the voting for the United States is as fair and equal as it was 10 years ago. That everybody still has the same ability to walk up to the poll, like you're saying, to vote like it was 10 years ago.
I don't know why it wouldn't be the same. What's different? I don't know what's different.
Well, I mean, what's different? So first of all, let's look at some of the cities where there's no more drop boxes. You can't do the drop boxes. You don't have those ability where the underprivileged have struggles that get to the voting booths. The underprivileged might not have a driver's license to show, so they have to go and figure out some sort of an ID. It's making it harder and harder.
Some sort of an ID. You need, Mike. I mean, to buy alcohol, you need an ID. Come on. I mean. I mean, the underprivileged. Come on, Mike.
I think you're being being absolutely naive to say that the voting rules have not changed in the last 10 years.
It's ridiculous. I mean, if you're asking my opinion of how people should vote, thank you for asking my opinion. My opinion is that Election Day should be a national holiday. We have holidays for every other ridiculous thing. So make it a national holiday. Give everybody the day off, and you actually have to vote in person unless you live outside the country or you're military personnel serving our country.
I will end this segment. I will end this segment with agreeing with you, Charlie, that voting day should be a national holiday. We'll be right back.
News, talk, and information. This is 107.7 WTPL, the Pulse of New Hampshire. may need Now Frank and Cheryl from Capital Craftsman and Romance Jewelers, downtown Concord.
So many holidays and events every year. Valentine's Day, Easter, Mother's Day, Memorial Day, Father's Day, and the list goes on and on.
Well, Frank, you forget St. Patty's Day, confirmations, communion, graduations, to name just a few more. What about birthdays and anniversaries?
Hi, I'm Frank.
And I'm Cheryl from the Capital Craftsman and Romance Jewelers.
We know you have a lot of events and holidays in your life, and we're here to say we have your back. Jewelry, gifts, and so much more.
Do you have a family heirloom that needs repair? We have an in-house jeweler who is awesome with those priceless pieces.
Capital Craftsman and Romance Jewelers, 16 North Main Street, downtown Concord. Follow us on Facebook or visit us online at capitalcraftsman.com.
We want to be your family jeweler.
Hey, it's Big Pete, and this is Repeat from the Appleseed Restaurant in beautiful Bradford, New Hampshire. Today, we'd like to present the Duchess soup, that is. That's our signature soup we've had since we've been open, 46 years now. It's a blend of cheeses, celery, carrots, onions, all put together, slow cooked, comes out nice and creamy. Delicious. And Dad, how many people have that recipe? 1, 2, 3. Actually, that would be nobody. And why is that, Dad? Because it's a secret recipe. That's right, it is. I believe the original recipe is kept in the basement in the Appleseed Vault. Do we still have the combination for that? Let's talk about catering, Dad. Good idea. We have a website dedicated to our catering, which is appleseedcatering.com. Lots of good information there. And for all other things Appleseed, ... menus, online ordering, up-to-date hours, and even gift cards, check out appleseedrestaurant.com. What's that website again, Dad? You can get anything you want at appleseedrestaurant.com. Oh, great. Now we got to pay our low royalties.
Coming up at noon, we talk tech with Kim Commando. In the meantime, we're back to Mike and the Hoss on the pulse of New Hampshire. Mike on the mic, Hoss playing hard. Nights when the snow gets tossed, talking socks packed with a swagger of floss. Dedicated dads, coaches, no loss. The skills of the place they know never be played. Teaching kids like the towards always and
603-228-2080 if you want to join our conversation. It's time for New Hampshire Sports, brought to you by Bailey's Bubble.
Yeah, Bailey's Bubble, family-owned and operated Bailey's Bubble in downtown Wolfboro, serves the finest ice cream in the state, May through October. They are officially closed, guys. But if you can't make it to Wolfboro for ice cream, you can still order their hot fudge, panucci, and butterscotch sauces at baileysbubble.com. My favorite is their homemade hot fudge. When placing your order, don't forget to tell them that Mike and the Hoss sent you. And I just want to let people know, Mike, that even though sometimes, we disagree with each other, we still do love each other. And in between segments, we actually are in the same room. And we didn't hug it out this time.
No, we didn't hug it out this time. We didn't go that hard. It was no. I didn't want to.
I didn't either. And I told you it wasn't really a contentious. If you missed the opening take, it was talking about President Trump. And so that's neither here nor there now. But it's not. I guess my last thing before we talk about mine is that I just think there's no for the FIFA soccer fans, for the World Cup fans. Obviously, we're gonna cover this as it's coming to the United States. They should not fear that President Trump has any power to move these matches. It's not going to happen.
I think you're being naive, but that's okay. We'll just. Well, let's go there again. It sounds like back in 2023. Oh, he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that. He's not going to do that. He's done every single thing that he said he was going to do. But anyway, let's talk about betting. Let's talk about some betting.
Yeah, great.
Let's
That's
talk
great.
about
Let's talk about. Hey, we should put a betting line. Vegas probably has it. Will President Trump move the World Cup spots?
Probably.
Series.
On Wednesday during overtime with Mike and the Hoss, we got into what happened in the Patriots game last week, where there was not just questionable calls from a homer point of view, but questionable calls that went national, and they went national immediately. And calls for the refs to be investigated, calls for the refs to take their phones to see if they had money on these games, because the calls that were made, egregious doesn't cover that. It really doesn't. It's like, what in the world did you see that would possibly make you make that call? And they were suspicious. And so we dove into that on Wednesday during overtime. And I know that one of the things that you wanted to talk about, Charlie, was how we're going to fix this.
Yeah. I mean, and that was like my tagline is Mike and the House are going to propose to repair the NFL from the damage being created by the referees. And these are collective, mostly your ideas, Mike. I'm going to give you credit for this, but these are ways that we thought the NFL could be improved. And, trying to taking a product, and we've talked about this before, the NFL is the king, right? The NFL football is king. They run the social media. They're relevant year round. It's pretty amazing. And we've always, said other leagues should kind of take a page out of the NFL's book for success, specifically maybe the WNBA. That being said, how do we fix this, Mike? What can we do? And you propose that there is a full-time employee of the NFL as a head referee, so that that head referee is a guy or a girl that works year round and is the head person, and they have a crew that's assembled. We had talked about on OT how most of these referees have full-time jobs. It said some of them are lawyers, some of them are doctors, and so and have other careers. And they come and work obviously on weekends for the NFL. So having that full-time employee, and that full-time employee would then be responsible, the head referee, at the end of every game to actually have a press conference. So we know that they meet with the head coach of each team and you meet with players, but the head referee would also have a press conference where he or she would be asked questions specific to that game. And they'd have to answer, this is why we call this penalty. This is why we didn't call this penalty, whatever. And then we talked about head coaches being given challenges for called penalties. We didn't come up necessarily with a number, how many per game, but we did agree upon that these would have to be for penalties once a yellow flag was thrown. So you can't be like, I saw, Charlie holding Mike. Nope, you can't do that. If a penalty wasn't thrown, then you can't challenge it. And then the other thing was similar to baseball, and Mike, you and I follow the kind of the baseball umpire scorecard, where at the end of the game, how many they made, how many they missed or whatever as far as balls and strikes. But having the same thing for the officiating crew, where there's an evaluation of score or grade, whatever you want to call it, at the end of each game. And maybe this is an opportunity for the head referee to address, maybe we did miss that call, or oh, look at this, we got this call right. So just an opportunity to have more dialogue and really have accountability for the referee and specifically the entire referee crew. Your thoughts?
Well, a lot of this came about because with the investigation was because of the betting angle, that now betting is in partnership. DraftKings are in partnership with the NFL, that it's a little bit more prevalent than he doesn't like my team. Mm-hmm. Where back in the 90s, that's what, usually it was. Oh, he lives in Minnesota. That's why he made this call, for the Vikings. You heard those kinds of things. His son follows the team. Now with betting in place, the calls were check the under. Check to see if he, has the under. Check to see where the points are lying. We've seen it in baseball. Where's the money flying to? Is there money flying on the first pitch of the third inning by this guy? We better check it out. And I think that's where people go. And this is something that we've talked about on more than one occasion, that it's a slippery slope for the NFL or these other Major League Baseball or whatever to get involved directly with the gambling, because it brings into question the legitimacy of the sport, which is the last thing that they want.
Right.
And I think that's what happened on Sunday, What happened on Sunday, and again, thank God the Patriots won because most of the calls went against them. Most of the really egregious, beyond egregious calls went against the Patriots. If they don't win that game, I told you every lawyer in Boston is going to file some sort of a protest and suit against it because it was that bad. I like what we're doing here. I think that some accountability for the referees, but just not the head referee. I'm always suspicious of the side referees, the guys that are on the outside that throw the flags when the play is on the other side of the field.
Yeah.
Defensive holding on a back when the ball was thrown 40 yards to the other side of the field. I am always suspicious of that call because it doesn't have anything to do with the game. It can be ticky-tack. It can be even gross, but it can impact the game, even though the play was not impacting the game.
Right.
So those worry me. I think everybody should be accountable. And if they make a series of bad calls, they should be held to task for that. It's you don't get to do this anymore. There's plenty of referees out there that whether in college or in high school,
aspiring refs.
And I don't know. Major League Baseball umpires are full time, and there's a process for them to get to Major League Baseball. They have to serve time in high school or wherever they are. Then they get to the minor leagues or college or whatever. They got to do a certain amount of years there, and there's an evaluation process that goes up there. The NFL referees and line judges and umpires and so on are all part-timers. And how do you become one? Do you have any idea how do you become one? Do you have to do a high school game first, or you can just?
No, I don't know the answer. That'd be a good segment for us to research. How do you become an NFL referee? I do know the one thing I do know because I had this conversation actually the other day with a colleague is that in the NFL. Obviously, the pinnacle of the NFL is to be able to get the white cap, right? To become the head referee. So you have to put your time in and doing the other positions in order to be able to get, to get the white hat. And the white hat is the top dog. So based on that, Mike, if you got the white hat and you're the head referee, that's the guy or the lady that needs to be full time in the NFL saying, okay, here we go. You're going to get this because you're so good at what you've been doing, but now you have to work for the NFL full time. But yeah, it would be interesting to see what the process is. Like you said, we kind of understand the baseball process for getting through the umpire hierarchy to the major leagues. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's important, Mike, because even last night at a high school level football game, obviously I was watching the referees, watching everything, but specifically I like to watch the refs and see what they're doing, and just they're doing the best they can, right? Their level, they're at the high school level, they're not at the pro level. But the amount of inconsistency that you see from week to week, even at the high school level, in the quality of referees is amazing. You have some amazing referees, and then you have some guys that maybe shouldn't even be on the field. And I get it, and because we don't have any referees, so it's like we'll take anybody, right? We'll take anybody if they're willing to do it. But there's you're right. There's a certain skill level that if you don't make the cut, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it.
This brought us to another topic. A friend of the show, Doug Kiley, had sent us an article about a survey that was done by UNH, and they surveyed almost 4,000 residents in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut about betting. And it came out to be that New Hampshire is the least betting state out of all of those. I don't know if you would have thought that, but New Hampshire is the least betting state. And they found that there's a relationship between if you watch football and if you're a bettor, that there's a relationship between football and betting. Do you think that's a fantasy thing? And I mean fantasy, like fantasy football is such a popular thing that there's that connection, and so that brings you into more betting because of fantasy football?
I think so, because think about how huge fantasy football is, and I'm sure you do it, I do it. It's fun, but then you're thinking about, if I have my lineup this week, and yes, wow, I guess the next logical step would be I've got my fantasy team now. Let's see if I can make a little bit of money, and you kind of jump right into that betting.
Well, and the apps carry over now, so like DraftKings Sportbook and DraftKings Fantasy are all connected. It's the same fund, and also Jack Pocket now. That's the lottery app. Those are connected
Okay.
into this one by DraftKings. So
Wow.
it's all connected. And I play the lottery. I don't like to play the lottery as much now that DraftKings bought it because now it feels directly associated with gambling where I didn't before. Before it was just dreamer. I was a dreamer.
Yes.
But now I feel like, it's either I put $2 on a Powerball ticket or I put $2 on the Sox to cover. It's a completely different thing, but it's the same. Now it's the same app. So that's a little different. Another talk before we go to break, another talk in the Detroit KC game. I don't know if you caught this. This was on Monday that a illegal there was a touchdown that was scored and there was no flag on the field and there was an illegal motion that happened and the refs miss it. But the eye in the sky from New York came and they made the call and reversed the touchdown call. And so this kind of comes into what we were saying is how much do we want the New York being involved with these things? Do you think that the call has to be seen on the field to be called a penalty, or can New York call the penalty?
I think I like what you're saying.
Let me just finish the thought, Charlie, because the commentary on it went directly to the betting lines. That call, had a factor now in the overall outcome of the score, had an overall outcome in the over/under of the score, and I don't think there's anything nefarious happen, but it brings into question, and this is what we're talking about, is if your sport is being brought into question on whether it's being played on the up and up, you have a problem. And every time this happens, it's being brought into question now.
Yeah, and I think just what I was going to say when you asked your question, I think because humans are such an important part of this with the officiating, that the flag actually has to be thrown and seen on the field. You don't want Big Brother coming in and being like, "Oh, there was actually a penalty on this." If the referees on the field didn't see it, then it didn't happen. And so you can only have Big Brother come in, I think, if there's an actual yellow flag that's been thrown.
Do you know where we're going to go to break in a second? Do you know where the most money was in the Patriots Saints game last week? More money, a significant amount, 68% was put on the Saints to win that game.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, before we go to break, Mike, I wanted to let you know that friend of the show, Bernie, thank you so much. He actually sent us some information, and we're not going to go over it now, but the NFL, believe it or not, because they have everything, they actually have of how to become an NFL official. And, it kind of starts off with, you should become a high school official, and tells you why. So, and it'll take you through that. So the NFL, if you want to visit that, the NFL site, operations at NFL, you can tell us how to become an NFL official.
Step 1, open up a DraftKings account. All right, we'll go to break.
107.7 WTPL.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions, like your really expensive limited edition sneakers and your new suit for your cousin's wedding. Except you never actually bought the suit because you can't stop buying sneakers. So you show up to the wedding looking like you're going grocery shopping. But hey, at least your sneakers will look good in the pictures until you're cropped out of every last one of them. So go ahead and get Progressive so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers not available in all states or situations.
Get in touch with the show anytime at thepulseofnh.com and on the free to download Pulse of NH app. Now, back to Mike and the Haas on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
As we said earlier, trivia is brought to you by the Back Bay Boathouse today, and they also submitted the question. Go get him, Charlie.
All right. The Back Bay Boathouse is a casual, family-friendly restaurant located at 51 Mill Street in Wolfboro, New Hampshire, overlooking the scenic Back Bay of Lake Winnipesaukee. Voted best family restaurant in both 2022 and 2023. It offers lakeside dining with the convenience of dock and dine access for boaters. The Boathouse serves lunch and dinner 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 9 p.m. Guests can enjoy 50-cent wings every Wednesday and $20 prime rib special every Thursday night. All right. Thanks to Doug from the Back Bay Boathouse for his trivia question. This is a chance to win a gift card to the Back Bay Boathouse. In Game 6 of the 1975 World Series, one of the most iconic games in Major League Baseball history, Carlton Fisk famously waved his home run fair. Which Red Sox player hit the home run before Carlton Fisk that tied the game in the 8th inning, setting the stage for that moment? So if you know who hit the home run prior to Carlton Fisk in the 8th inning, give us a call at 603-228-2080, 603-2080 for a chance, 603-228-2080 for a chance to win a gift card to the Back Bay Boathouse.
Let's spend a couple minutes on the Celtics and the Bruins. Bruins tonight, they're still out west, 3-2. They lost the last couple of games. They're playing tonight on the Pulse against the Avalanche, pregame at 8:30, puck drop at 9 o'clock. You know what? So far, I've been kind of tough on them, but to take Vegas, they lost to Vegas 6-5. Legit, they get their hands full with the Avalanche tonight, but they beat Washington. I think there's a chance they're going to be better than we thought. Might be boring, but I think there's a chance they're going to be better than we thought, and which is a good thing. There's a chance that they're going to be relevant at the end of the year, and the way that the offseason was looking. We didn't think that was going to happen. All right, we're going to go to trivia. We have Joanne on the phone with an answer for the question. Joanne, what do you got?
I have Bernie Carbo.
It is, Joanne. It is Bernie Carbo, which is awesome. Hey, congratulations. You got yourself a gift card. I know that Dog's going to get all your information, and he'll have that sent to you. Joanne, did you get a chance to
Bernie Carbo was the clutch. He was such a clutch hitter.
He was. He had a couple really big home runs for the Red Sox, which is really cool. That's also he has a great name. Let's just say, he's a great name, Bernie Carbo. All right. Thanks for calling. Thanks for calling, Joanne.
Yeah, stay on the line.
I'm excited. Thank you so much.
Yeah, real quick story. I don't know if you picked this up. It's on the game in 1975 when he hit that. He was struggling. And so he had his bat. He's in the dugout. He has his bat. And he went back to the lathe, and he lathed some of the bat down. And so it lathed the Louisville Slugger emblem off the bat. And you're not allowed to bat without an emblem. And so he took a magic marker, and while he's waiting to at bat, he wrote in the Louisville Slugger emblem. And that's the bat that he used to hit the home run. He laid the bat before that. That's really cool. I think that's a great, kind of a neat
story. Yeah, amazing. So yeah, I mean, it was great. This was awesome trivia. Tough question, but Joanne, no doubt about it. Joanne got herself a gift card to the Back Bay Boathouse. So congratulations, Joanne.
So anyway, I think the Bruins are going to be a little bit better. Celtics, I don't know about. The news coming out, they're opening, I believe, on Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday
Next week, and they were the topic of our poll question. But I don't, Dog, you ready to do poll? You want to wait?
We'll do the whole, whatever you want to do.
All right, let's do the poll question right now, and then we'll quickly talk about the Celtics.
Okay. All right. For the last week's poll question on X, it was, as well as on Facebook at the Pulse of NH, will the Celtics make the playoffs in 2026? On X, it was yes, 57.1%, 42.9% no, but on the Pulse of NH on Facebook, 100% yes. So it's another Two Americas poll, apparently.
How about this week, Dog?
What were we thinking? I want you to lead off on this.
On this week's?
Yeah, no, yeah. What did we decide on? So
I thought we decided on the referees.
There we
Should
go.
the- All right, we'll come. We'll do this week's poll question when we come back from break. But real quickly on the Celtics, I'm a little concerned about what's coming out of Boston in terms of the track meet that Joe Mazzulla is running. He's got him playing at a high tempo. And you're hearing the comments from the players that I didn't know if I signed up for a track team or a basketball team. And it brings me back to Loyola Marymount. Remember when Paul Westhead was doing, running all that up and down the court back in the late 80s, early 90s,
Right.
where there was all about possessions and shot attempts, and that their goal was like 115 shot attempts a game. It feels like Joe Mazzulla is kind of taken on that. I just don't know if you can keep that up for an 82-game season, for these guys. I just don't see it being realistic. We know in hockey, playoff hockey is different than regular season hockey, and I believe the same is true, not quite as much, but in basketball. The intensity of a regular season game is different than the intensity of a playoff game. But if he's got these guys running track meets every day, I don't know. I'm questioning it.
I'm worried about it because they're going to be in great condition. But that being said, it's just the wear and tear on your body, especially. Basketball. You know what it's like. Basketball is pretty physical as a sport, and you need to kind of tone it down a little bit. So.
All right, we're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to do our poll question, and we're going to talk about the first place New England Patriots. Doc, can you hear me? So I sorry about that. I thought we had said that should there be challenge flags for penalties in the NFL?
Coaches challenge flags.
Coaches challenges for penalties in the NFL. Okay. And then we got to do picks.
Relations in New Hampshire. Choose American Fences and the league and lend you the postcode.
Visit American Fences Incorporated on Hooksett Road in Hooksett. Online at AmericanFences.net. That's AmericanFences.net. Jen, Buddy looks amazing. I love his new haircut. Where'd you take him?
Nowhere. Wolfie's mobile pet spa came right to my house. No stressful car rides, no waiting rooms. Buddy got a full room right in my driveway.
Really? Between work and the kids' schedules, I have no time to get Bella to the groomer. So they come to you?
Yes, they do.
That sounds like a dream. Bella hates car rides. Nice.
And they don't just groom, they do dog walking.
Oh, I'm looking at Wolfie's of Concord in Manchester today.
Wolfie's of Concord in Manchester. Mobile grooming, pet sitting, and dog walking that comes to you. Pamper your pet today at WOOIES.com.
We'll go that far, but we look like we lost some weight.
If you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions, like your priceless vinyl collection. Sure, you sleep on a futon because the money most people would have spent on a bed you spent on more records. But forget the fact that you can stream just about any song ever created for a few dollars a month. No, you need to listen to music in the most difficult way possible. So go ahead and get Progressive so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, other insurers, not available in all states or situations.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on a limited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay, e-billing. See site for additional facts.
You're listening to the Granite State's own Mike and the Haas on the Pulse of New Hampshire.
Oh, my favorite song, and I have to cut it off because we're running out of time. Dog, what's our poll question for this week?
It is, should there be coaches challenge for penalties in the NFL? Yes or no?
I think based on last week, I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
Based on last week, because if Vrabel would have had the ability to challenge those ghost calls on Diggs, it wouldn't have been a story. It wouldn't have been a story. It would have been over. So there's got to be some sort of a corrective measure that can take care of bad calls.
I had one other quick thought is we didn't talk about this. So when it gets sent to New York, I think the people in New York should also be public figures. I want to know who these people are that we're sending it to. You know, maybe at the beginning of a broadcast, they could be like, you know, these 5 referees are the people in New York.
So essentially, it's the equivalent of when Ichiro's didn't get the unanimous. We want to know who was the person that didn't vote for Ichiro. We want to call them out, find them, and call them out.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I thought Gene Steratore did a great job. He's the referee guru, overseer, whatever, that he works with the broadcasts, and he called out those calls. He was calling them out the whole time, and it gave some comfort when we were listening. Says, okay, it's not me. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, it's not me. I'm seeing the same thing that he's seeing, and you know, he's being honest about. At least there was honesty coming out of the booth, which is good. But New England won. They are in first place in the East. Sorry, Bernie. They're rolling. They're rolling. I'm going to say this quick before we go to our picks. I'm not saying the Patriots are a Super Bowl team yet, but are your Super Bowl predictions, have they changed since the beginning of the year based on what you've seen?
Well, I mean, Mike, I don't think the Patriots are going to be the Super Bowl.
I didn't say. Well, weren't you just listening? I said the Patriots. I'm not saying the Patriots, but have your predictions changed since the beginning of the year?
Yeah, because heck, 2 weeks ago I was all in that the Bills are going to be in the Super Bowl. You know, that was so I guess, yeah. So I'd have to take a good look and say, should my Super Bowl predictions change? And right now I'm going to say, yeah. I mean, they would have to based on the current state of the NFL a third of the way through the season.
Right now, Dog, I would say for me, and right now that I'd say Tampa, and I think it's a toss up in the AFC. I think it's an absolute toss up. It could go probably 8 different teams in the AFC.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dog?
Green Bay, LA. I'm not changing that. I'm not changing Green Bay, LA. I'm not changing that.
Awesome. You got so picks last week. I had a good week. Sorry, guys. I'm 20-10. Charlie struggled a little bit. You struggled a little bit last week. You're 16-14, and Dog is in the middle, paying for the tip at 18-12. I'm this week. I get some good news. Last week was, a little bit more of a struggle. This week, I think we had a few better games to pick from. Yeah. So the first game we have is the Los Angeles Rams at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Rams won last week.
London, so
what's that?
They're not at. They're not at.
They're London. It's a London game. It's a London game. I mean, the Rams are certainly going to be traveling they're going to be traveling far. They are, but the Jaguars are going to kind of balance that out a little bit. I've got the Rams. I think the Rams are rolling right now. I've got the Rams.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to select the Rams over the Jaguars.
This game scares me because Puka Nacua is out. He is injured. He's not going to be playing in this game. That
Yeah.
being said, I think LA will find a way to win.
Yeah. I think Jacksonville was playing above themselves for a little while, and I think Seattle exposed them quite a bit last week. All right, next game is the Eagles at the Vikings. Eagles are struggling. Vikings they just announced that it's going to be another week of Carson Wentz, it looks like. So I'm going to go Eagles. I think Eagles are going to right the ship a little bit this week.
Yeah, my thoughts exactly. The Eagles, they are struggling. I don't think they're going to lose another one. So they're going to beat the Minnesota Vikings.
Carson Wentz faces his former team, but the result will work out for those Philadelphia Eagles. I got the Eagles in many.
Yeah. Next game is the Colts at the Chargers. This is one of the better games this week. Chargers are rolling. That's a Super Bowl pick for the dog if you were just listening. And the Colts 5-1. Who saw that coming?
Yeah.
I do think it's in LA. I think the Chargers have a little bit more right now. So I'm going to go Chargers on this one. They're going to hold.
Well, I would think actually for this one that the Chargers are going to win, but I have to make up a lot of games. So I am going to take the Colts to beat the Chargers.
It's the Colts versus the Bolts. I'm taking the Bolts.
All right. Buccaneers and the Lions. The Buccaneers are at the Lions. Game of the week. I think this is Monday. Yeah. It's, Buccaneers are rolling, but they have so many injuries right now. Baker Mayfield is probably the MVP favorite at this point.
Yeah.
But he has both his receivers out. Mike Evans is out. Godwin's out. They're just riddled with injuries. The Lions coming off, I believe, a loss last week. They lost to Kansas City last week.
Yes.
I think the Lions are probably they're going to hold a little bit better. I don't think the Buccaneers are going to be able to keep up with the scoring that the Lions are going to do without their receivers. So I've got the Lions.
Yeah, tough loss last week for the Lions. I had picked the Lions last week to win. I'm sticking with it. The Lions are going to beat the Bucs.
I think the Bucs actually come from behind, win this game with seconds to spare. Baker Mayfield to the rescue. He's a stud.
He is. And I just said I got the Buccaneers winning the Super Bowl. I just think they're going to win the Super Bowl when their receivers come back. I mean, we saw what Brady was able to do with those receivers, and I think that Mayfield, you see the run that he made at the end of the game to kind of seal the game out?
Yeah, oh yeah.
It was him against the whole other team. It was impressive. All right, the last game is the Patriots at the Titans. This is kind of like the Vrabel Bowl. Most of the talk this week has been about Vrabel. Going back from what we've seen from Vrabel, I'd say he wants this one. He seems to be a pretty a coach that remembers. And he was wronged in Tennessee. He's come out on top right now. So I think the Pats are going to run with this one, probably win by 30.
Yeah. New England all the way. First place Patriots are going to stay there this week.
It's the Vrabel. Mike Vrabel will get his revenge in the Music City. Pats.
Yeah, there we go. So we're pretty similar. I think I was wrong. This was the week that there was not many games to pick. Last week there was a lot of games to pick.
Yeah.
Try and pick games that can go 50-50. Obviously, the Patriots game is one of those games that probably is not going to be 50-50. So,
no, we always pick the Patriots. So I mean, meaning
we always do.
Patriots. We always pick the Patriots game. We don't always pick.
We didn't pick the Patriots very often last year.
No,
are they for real? Before we're going to leave here in a second, but are the Patriots for real?
I think they're for real based on the current schedule that they have. We'll see if they're for real when they have to play good teams.
I would agree with you. We were going to talk about, who's responsible for the Patriots' success, and I think you and I both put schedule down as the number one thing.
Yeah.
So, all right. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for listening.